Yeah. So I told this a story with the Satmar. I told you I heard from Rabbi. I heard from Chaim, your uncle. No, he was a Makorev. He was a Makorev of the Satmar.
Anchi.
Huh?
Anchi, it's good.
No, not Anchi. Not another uncle. Another one. He was Hakim Makorev also. Anyway, he told me, this uncle, his name escapes me now, that the Satmar, the Satmar, he said it to him. When he heard it, he said, "You think I wouldn't like to send shluchim all over the world to Mekarav Yidden? I can't. What's going to be from them? Like, without the infrastructure, without the whole Yiddish environment." He said, him referring to the Rebbe, he says, he has broad shoulders. He can do it. I can't. He was a big Oyev Yisrael. He had his shittas, very extreme. But a big Oyev Yisrael, a true manik. But in other words, he's saying, Neshama is the Bria and less, they can't go. They can't do this. They need to be a Royat Zayin at best. But the Lubavitcher, he has broad shoulders. With broad shoulders, is Neshama Datzilus. I don't know if he meant that, understood that. Stami did. But he's able to.
He's also perhaps saying that the Rebbe is the real Moishe, and Moishe could do it.
Yeah, Neshama Datzilus. So this is connected to today's story that with Rabbi Yoel. So Rabbi Yoel. So first I want to tell you there's a Pinyu Korf I just read also that just passed away. Around this time, this whole Koch of the Rebbe in Shlichus, and he was just married. He wrote to the Rebbe he wants to go on Shlichus. And he was told no. The Rebbe said to him that if he'll be devoted, he gave him strong deshamis to the Talmidim, Yizashpah, then that's my Shlichus for you. That's what you need to do. Okay, that's a different Indian, not the same Indian see it. That you need to have Mashpiyim. Now, Rabbi Yoel, in similar vein, but here's a distinction between Rabbi Yoel and opinion. Just on WhatsApp yesterday was a story where somebody writes about, relates the following, was a Fabrengen in 770, and Pindyakov was Fabrengen. The kid said, an opinion was a big oiver, and he was the man from the Bachrim, Avodah Satfila, davening ba'avodah, bekavana, etc. So one of the Bachrim said, basically, there's another mashpia. I didn't say him by name. He meant Rabbi Yoel, who doesn't demand this from us. And if anything, that's not like the call of the hour is with this atfila and this kind of thing. So he didn't respond, but in the end, he said the opinion that he's a younger man. I never heard this before about Yoel is that the Rebbe said on him, "Mit olam hazeh can men nicht nehmen." Olam hazeh does not impress him. So he says, Yoel doesn't need up in this atfila to be inspired and connected. He is terasei nosei, the Rebbe's Torah. This is his whole mitzias, and therefore he doesn't, work on himself, as it were. But he says us, that we are impressed with Olam Hazeh. We need, as we learned in the previous mind, but the Eish took it on his but to generate a kochan and a fire in our davening, and that is what's going to counter the fire of Olam Hazeh. So Yoel is stuck at a different level. Related to our Maimer. Now, Rabbi Yoel, of course, was not in the world at all. I mean, there's a million stories about him. I doubt if he ever, maybe in his young years at David's wedding, he looked into a mirror. I don't think he looked into a mirror thereafter for the rest of his life. There's a story that he was once coming home and Montgomery Street, and someone was passing by. He says to him, "Could you maybe tell me where I live?" He just didn't know which house he was. A million stories that Yankel Reitzes told me when he once came to 770 with the famous story with a bag, garbage in his hand. His wife took out the garbage and vertracht and took it to the 770. Walking with it in the street down Kingston Avenue all the way to was Ocean Park or whatever it was. And a million stories. I mean, that's just where he was. But here's a story that Yossi Parish told me that they never said, but now they're telling the story. This goes way back when Yossi Parish was a bacher staying in his house. He was there for months. He's his nephew. And he needed a suit, and the Rabbi needed a suit. So Leah, that's the Rebbe's and Leah, Yael's wife. So they go to Manhattan. Maybe it was a wholesaler or something. And she goes, she's there, and she asks Yossi to come along. Also, you also need to get a suit. So they go to the wholesaler there, whatever it is, and you have to try on the pants. So Rabbi, they give him a pair of pants to show him, go over here to put on the pants and come out to see if it fits. So they're waiting and waiting and waiting, and the bills are coming out. It's like a long time in the dressing room. So Yossi goes in, Rabbi is completely oblivious to surroundings, completely. He's looking at it settled. Answer got me. He was walking in the Kut Sichos, and the answer of the Rebbe, I forgot where he is, what he is, and had to be told. So this is Rabbi. So Rabbi, that's what Opinion was saying. That Rabbi, he's like davening all day. His whole matziv is avodas tefillah. So he doesn't need the avodas tefillah as the rest of us do to ensure the rest of the day that we're going to engage in, we've stoked a little fire within ourselves, and that will negate the fires that we're going to face in the course of the day. And the fires, by the way, are not just temptations. Most of the time, we're not faced with temptations. In the business world, the fire is aggravation. The aggravation doesn't happen, and we lose sight. We could easily lose sight of Eivishter runs, also meant to be, but become all zukocht and consumed in parnasa. That's the nature of the human being. But the Alter writes in Tanya, that's why giving tzedakah is such a tremendous mitzvah, because the whole chayes goes into it. But can't help that. You gotta make a living. It's a battle. It's a war. But at the same time, not to be consumed by it and stressed out and cause gesund to come home and take it out on the wife and kids, because God for chas v'shalom, not a good day in business. So for that to make sure that we don't get burnt up in it. Burnt, as the expression is, not to get burned. The answer to that is they get burnt in the mitzvah tefillah, koch and a gishmak and davening. So that's the eish tamid that will counter the fire out there. Obviously, a person like you, chatchila, is in that space all the time, and b'chlal ilam hazeh is not tevis makar. Have a wonderful day. Tomorrow we'll start the next Maimer, Parshas Eikev, which is this week's Parsha. Shabbos and Baruch Hamel, looks like it's a long Maimer, and we'll begin that tomorrow. Everybody should have a wonderful day. Baruch Habatzlacha.
Shkoyach Gadol.
Have a great day, everybody.